was like, we can't do that.
Well, I mean, we do know the NYPD recommended it because they are fearful that there possibly could be violence with some of the drill rappers. We've seen violence with some of them. Dawn, you represent so many rappers, including Shaw EK. What's your reaction to them being told, sorry, you can't perform at this big festival which has big names in it?
So I'm not really even surprised because we saw this back in 2019 when Rolling Loud had issued the statement that Pop Smoke, Chef G, Casanova, 22Gs couldn't perform.
But are you concerned that the NYPD or the city may be saying these artists can't perform at venues?
Well, absolutely. It's very disturbing, and it's something I'm really passionate about. And this all comes from the rap unit or the hip hop police, which is actually called the Enterprise Operation Unit. So they basically are a shadowy organization that sort of spies on the rappers, and they report back to NYPD and to the mayor, and they say, okay, we think these people are a problem. But the problem is not with drill music, it's not with these particular rappers, it's just with gun violence in general. And we always hear about, rappers getting into problems, but we don't hear about just the gun violence every day, the regular people that are victims of crime and regular people who commit murders.
Does Shaw EK
have
a
so
criminal
unfair.
record?
No, he's not gang affiliated. He doesn't have any pending cases. He's a good kid. I mean, you can speak more.
He's not in a gang. Baby on the way.
He's 19. He just bought a house. Who does that at 19?
For his whole family, not just him. Mom, sisters.
And I think a lot of people are still going to say, drill music talks a lot about violence, and that some of the artists do go out there and shoot videos doing bad things.
Yes.
But for somebody that you're saying like Shaw EK, you say he's not a bad person. What does this mean for his career? Because many rappers have told me, this is a way for people to get out of poverty and bring so many other people and make a lot of money.
In the midst of his career, his first mixtape just released with Warner Records Defiant, Shaw EK was #1 on the Billboard Heat Seeking album, which is top 200 all genres, new artists. He was #1. On the big Billboard, he was number 189, first debut mixtape. And then in the midst of that, he can't perform at Rolling Loud, which could lead to him performing at other bigger venues.
What's your message? And we don't have too much time here, but, once again, the imagery is violent. Some people watching New York 1 right now are seeing those videos saying, oh my God, it's violent. Dawn, what's your message to, let's say, the NYPD and the city when it comes to these artists who you represent a lot of them, and some of them are sometimes charged with very serious crimes?
So we have to have better relationships. So, for example, the mayor met with a lot of rappers, including Fabio Foreign and B-Love in February. And this all started with my client C Blue, who was accused of shooting a cop, and we all know that that case got dismissed. And that woke the mayor up to drill rap. He didn't even know what drill rap was before. So the message is basically that the mayor needs to meet these rappers one-on-one, know what they're about, and then he can make his decision based upon, who they are. But people kill people. Rap music and drill music do not kill people.
All right. Well, Dawn and Noodles, thank you. I know this is a bigger conversation, and hopefully we will continue it.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
A woman is killed in Queens after she is hit by a car, and now police are investigating how that's connected to a bar brawl that broke out early Saturday morning. Now, here's some surveillance video shared with New York 1 by a business in that area of Richmond Hill. It shows crowds on the street around 3 in the morning at 101st Avenue and 120th Street. Police say it all started with a bar fight that spilled out onto the street where a man in his 20s was stabbed in the stomach and 3 other men were slashed in the face. Then down the street, police believe someone connected with that fight got into their car and drove through a crowd of people, intentionally hitting the woman in the process. She's 31. She was pronounced dead at the hospital. Police say 2 of the men who were slashed were also hit by that car. They were taken to the hospital and are expected to recover. Police say they're still working to figure out exactly why that fight broke out, but at this point they say the victims are not cooperating with the detectives. The head of the MTA is defending the upcoming congestion pricing fee for driving into Manhattan below 60th Street. This after the mayor and the governor of New Jersey made remarks about exemptions in the first-in-the-nation traffic toll. New York 1 transit reporter Dan Rivoli explains.
We have climate deniers. We have election deniers. It seems like we now have traffic deniers.
The head of the MTA defends congestion pricing criticism coming from both sides of the Hudson River. The MTA chairman and other transit officials linked the plan to charge motorists to drive into the busiest parts of Manhattan to the future health of the city and the transit system.
Congestion pricing is not only a traffic benefit to New York, it is a net air quality benefit to New Jersey.
These remarks in response to New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy, who criticized congestion pricing during a climate change event in the city on Wednesday. Murphy wants the federal government to undertake a more detailed environmental review than the current review, one that could delay the toll for several more years.
Yeah, it's clearly an environmental initiative, but it can't be executed on the back of folks who are already burdened with paying a price to come into the city.
And earlier in the day, Mayor Eric Adams complained that the city has, quote, very little input on congestion pricing. Adams has one appointee on the panel of 6 that will determine the traffic toll and any exemptions.
If Ms. Jones must come to Manhattan, low-income New Yorker, to go to get her cancer treatment, should we just ignore that fact and say you're going to pay the same price of those who are driving because of luxury?
By law, the congestion pricing plan must bring in at least $1 billion to the MTA, which would then sell bonds to generate $15 billion for a capital plan that covers signal upgrades, repairs, and extending the 2nd Avenue subway to East Harlem.
Without full funding, the core infrastructure investments in our system just wouldn't be possible, nor would the expansion projects that we've been talking about today. Of course, this includes the $15 billion anticipated in the current program from the full implementation of the Central Business District tolling program.
Dan Rivoli, New York 1.
It's time now for weather on the ones. Any evening plans you have, well, you look good. Temperatures will be in the 60s this evening before falling back into the upper 50s overnight. Skies will be partly cloudy, keeping us rain-free. However, the same cannot be said as we move into your Sunday. Scattered showers and even a rumble of thunder are possible, so keep that umbrella nearby. Temperatures will be in the 70s in the afternoon, upper 70s in many places. Any showers and storms will be in the early nighttime hours with drier weather expected later in the night. Lows will be in the low 60s. Now, taking a look at the week ahead, drier and seasonable weather settles in for early on in the week. Much cooler weather arrives for the end of the week with showers possible for Friday and Saturday. So tomorrow, 75, Monday and Tuesday in the low 70s, Wednesday, look at that, in the upper 60s. Your next weather check comes in 10 minutes.
Trust isn't a given. It has to be earned. It has to be kept. It's a trek we make in the stories we tell, in the balance we strike, the communities we connect, voices we share. We've been on this journey for a long time.
Hello, I'm Monica Pergament. You're watching Spectrum News.
We're here to illuminate how the national stories impact your local community.
Assemblyman Colin Schmidt voted against protecting our right to an abortion right here in New York. Now, if he gets to Congress, he and his extremist allies could ban abortion nationwide. So in New York, our right to abortion could disappear, even in the case of rape, incest, or when a woman's life depends on it. Gone, leaving us with nothing but politicians like Colin Schmidt making decisions for us. DCCC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
John and Kelly use AT&T for their mobile service. Steve and Anna have Spectrum Mobile. Both couples have 2 lines and both get unlimited data and nationwide 5G. What's the difference? John and Kelly pay a lot more with AT&T.
Yeah, and our bill just went up.
Again.
AT&T's costs are rising, up to $12 a month for older family plans.
That's too much.
Way too much.
Plus taxes.
And fees.
With Spectrum, there are no added taxes or fees. Go to spectrummobile.com/save to see how much you can save by switching to Spectrum. Steve and Anna save hundreds of dollars a year with Spectrum.
Really?
Yes. And with Spectrum Mobile, you get the most reliable service coast to coast and the speed you need to stream and connect in more places. So, John and Kelly, do you want to save more?
Oh yeah, we are switching to Spectrum.
All right. Switch and you can save up to 60% on your mobile bill. Call, click, or visit a store today.
Homes have washed away and hundreds of thousands are without power as Fiona pummels Canada. The storm made landfall early Saturday morning as a post-tropical cyclone. High winds caused trees to come down onto cars, roads, power lines, even some homes. Ocean waves pounded the southern coast of Newfoundland where entire structures were washed into the sea. People in the storm's path are being warned to stay inside and to have enough supplies to last about 3 days. Forecasters say the storm, even though it's been downgraded, has the potential to be one of the most severe storms Canada has ever seen. And it appears a storm is headed towards Florida. The governor there, Ron DeSantis, declares a state of emergency for Tropical Storm Ian. The emergency order at first only covered 24 counties, but right now that storm is picking up power in the Caribbean and is expected to turn into a hurricane before making landfall in Florida in the coming days. Residents there are definitely stocking up on supplies like water, food, and gas. If the storm does touch down, it will be the first major hurricane to hit that state since 2018. The Atlantic hurricane season runs until November 30th. A gathering to show support for Pakistan and address climate change after weeks of heavy rain and flooding have left parts of that country underwater. Now, New York is home to the largest Pakistani population in the U.S. Locally elected officials, advocates, and the Consul General of Pakistan held a news conference raising awareness of the historic and catastrophic flooding that has killed more than 1,600 people there and affected more than 30 million others. Leaders blame climate change and a global issue that often disproportionately affects poorer nations. According to statistics, Pakistan contributes to less than 1% of planet greenhouse gas emissions compared to the U.S.'s 21%.
We must continue all efforts here in America and around the world to combat climate change, but particularly now we're speaking about Pakistan and ways that we can help our neighbor.
Nonprofits like the Citizens Foundation have been leading efforts to help the people in Pakistan. The Consul General says raising awareness will be key to the country's recovery, and for those who would like to donate, you can do so through the New York Consul General of Pakistan. The head of the MTA is defending the upcoming congestion pricing fee for driving into Manhattan below 60th Street. This after the mayor and the governor of New Jersey made remarks about exemptions in the first-in-the-nation traffic toll. New York 1 transit reporter Dan Rivoli explains.
We have climate deniers. We have election deniers. It seems like we now have traffic deniers.
The head of the MTA defends congestion pricing criticism coming from both sides of the Hudson River. The MTA chairman and other transit officials linked the plan to charge motorists to drive into the busiest parts of Manhattan to the future health of the city and the transit system.
Congestion pricing is not only a traffic benefit to New York, it is a net air quality benefit to New Jersey.
These remarks in response to New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy, who criticized congestion pricing during a climate change event in the city on Wednesday. Murphy wants the federal government to undertake a more detailed environmental review than the current review, one that could delay the toll for several more years.
Yeah, it's clearly an environmental initiative, but it can't be executed on the back of folks who are already burdened with paying a price to come into the city.
And earlier in the day, Mayor Eric Adams complained that the city has, quote, very little input on congestion pricing. Adams has one appointee on the panel of 6 that will determine the traffic toll and any exemptions.
If Ms. Jones must come to Manhattan, low-income New Yorker, to get her cancer treatment, should we just ignore that fact and say you're going to pay the same price of those who are driving because of luxury?
By law, the congestion pricing plan must bring in at least $1 billion to the MTA, which would then sell bonds to generate $15 billion for a capital plan that covers signal upgrades, repairs, and extending the 2nd Avenue subway to East Harlem.
Without full funding, the core infrastructure investments in our system just wouldn't be possible, nor would the expansion projects that we've been talking about today. Of course, this includes the $15 billion anticipated in the current program from the full implementation of the Central Business District tolling program.
Dan Rivoli, New York.
This portion of the news is brought to you in part by FanDuel. Make every moment more.
But one day I just started getting so bad I didn't want to do anything.
The great experiences you have in here and even out here all started here. Because the best customer experience always leaves a great impression. GMC, awarded #1 in sales satisfaction by J.D. Power. Get 0% financing on GMC Terrain models. Plus, current eligible GMC owners get an additional $250 purchase allowance. We are professional grade GMC.
Find out where that road leads. Take on any challenge. When you have the #1 brand and dependability, you stop thinking about what you can't do and start doing what you never thought possible. Get 3.49% APR for up to 48 months on the purchase of a new 2023 Forte.
When you drive a Honda, you're driving with America's most fuel-efficient full-line automaker. Follow your adventures with the thrilling power of Honda. Buy online, reserve from select dealers, or visit your local Honda dealer today.
Most of you already know that Long Island Cares and the Harry Chapin Food Bank provides nearly 12 million meals to our neighbors in need annually. But we also provide job placement assistance, educational programs for schools, advocacy on social issues, care coordination for veterans, grant funding to support local pantries, and numerous volunteer opportunities for businesses. While there are 250,000 Long Islanders facing food insecurity, we know that it takes more than food to feed the hungry. It takes you.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Food Bank for New York City. One mission, 5 boroughs, feed all.
It's time now for Weather on the Ones. It's Sunday, September the 25th. If you're headed out the door today, well, have a light jacket with you, especially early on, and maybe an umbrella as well for the afternoon. We do have some scattered showers and even a thunderstorm expected, especially during those afternoon hours into the early evening. Some of the rain could be heavy at times, so be on the lookout for that. But we're not talking about a complete rain day here. Temperatures will reach the 70s during the afternoon. And for your Sunday night, any showers and storms will exit during the evening hours, and we'll be left with drier conditions for overnight. Lows will be in the low 60s, and winds will be out of the southwest at around 10 miles an hour. As we look at the upcoming work week, and the final week of September will certainly feel seasonable with highs in the low 70s and dry conditions for Monday and Tuesday. And some people do have a few days off for the Jewish holiday. Cooler air arrives for the second half of the week with highs only in the mid and upper 60s at this point on Friday and Saturday. Pretty far out, but there is a chance of rain if you're taking a trip. Here's a look at our conditions across the country from selected cities. We have Washington, D.C., 78. Dallas 96, San Juan 88. Here's a look at international conditions for you. On the right side, we have Beijing 85, Rio 74, Mexico City 76. Well, with the chill in the air, you know summer is over. And while many people are back in the city from their summer vacations, others might just be planning a fall getaway. And not to mention the holiday season isn't too far away. Yeah. Thanksgiving and Christmas will be here before we know it. So AAA says it's more important than ever to plan ahead this year, especially after a rough summer season of travel where we saw thousands of delays and cancellations of flights. Most airline schedules are cut down about 15%, according to AAA. That means fewer flight options and, unfortunately, higher prices.
Route reductions have led to crowded airplanes and higher fares. And there's still problems with having enough staffing for the airlines, either ground personnel or cabin personnel or flight deck personnel. So it's a little tight, and demand is up significantly.
And if you're planning to travel this fall season or for the holidays, well, experts are encouraging you to book now to avoid higher prices, which are already 30% higher than this time last year. They say earlier flights in the day are less likely to face delays, and consider buying travel insurance to avoid unnecessary cancellation costs. The Yankees beat the Red Sox again in the Bronx despite not getting that big home run from Aaron Judge that everyone is looking for. The Yankee slugger was 0 for 3 with a walk, his fourth straight game without a homer. He still needs one more to tie Roger Maris's American League record of 61 and 2 to break it. But 3 other Yankees went deep, including Anthony Rizzo, whose 2-run shot in the 7th broke a 5-all tie and gave the Yanks the win, 7-5. It was his 32nd homer of the season. Now, Judge's last chance this weekend to get that record at home will be during some Sunday night action when the Bombers go for a sweep of Boston. They then head to Toronto on Monday. There are actually several more games left this season for Judge to tie or break the record. And in Oakland, the Mets had to be feeling pretty good after scoring 3 runs in the top of the first, but ace Jacob deGrom had his worst outing in years. For the first time in his career, he gave up 4 runs in the first inning. He ended up giving up 5 runs in 4 innings, the most he's allowed since 2019. DeGrom's major league record of 40 consecutive starts allowing 3 runs is now over. The A's also beat up on the Mets bullpen. They go on to win it. Final score 10-4. The Atlanta Braves won, so the Mets' lead in the division is now down to a game and a half. Max Scherzer starts for the Mets in their rubber game. You know what? That is a Sunday afternoon game at 4 o'clock. That's all for this half hour of news here on NY1. I'm Dean Meminger. Thanks for being with us this weekend. And stay with us because we have more on your top stories coming up. And, of course, your Weather on the Ones forecast.
We are connected, engaged. From the moment we rise, we move,